Hello, hello, hello. I have often said that I will go anywhere I need to go to be around this material, and I do believe that I have proved it with this trip. It was not easy, but we're all here at the appointed time, so that's good. And I've got just a lovely number of people ready to show me stuff. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to make some general comments about the audition process, generally speaking, classical monologues in particular. But I don't want to turn this into a lecture. That's coming. Okay, the talk part is coming. So what I'd like to do is, I have a lot of things that I want to get into the conversation, but I think it'll be better if I'm able to do that in the context of working with the actors. I'll see things that will enable me to import some of those thoughts that I have. But I do want to say at the outset, now, you know, those of you who've been around this game for any length of time, you know that audition is a very particular kind of performance. It's different. It's different than rehearsing and performing a show. And you better be proficient at it, because I have known, and I'm sure many of you have observed, actors who are really good in the rehearsal room. And in the context of a 4-week rehearsal period, they'll deliver a performance, but they don't audition particularly well. This is a problem, as you can understand. You know, you must do this thing in order to get the opportunity to do the other thing. The other side of the coin is in many ways even worse. And this is something I had to learn over the years as a director. There are actors who will come in and wow you at audition, and then you get into the rehearsal room and you realize that was it. That's it. They're going to do the same thing, and it won't matter what you say to them. They'll do it again. You know, you can. So be prepared. When I audition actors, given my druthers, I will always ask for prepared material. I want to see you come in with the thing that you think shows you off to best advantage. I want to see the piece that you looked for, discovered, chose, worked on, and look, in the best of all possible worlds, these things need to be in the hopper for some period of time. Yeah? You should always, always, always be reading dramatic literature and collecting potential audition pieces. Not the one you're going to show them next week, the one you're going to show them 4 months down the road after you've had a chance to let it steep. Okay, now don't be alarmed for people who are going to perform a piece this evening that they just learned. Don't worry about that. This is just stuff to file away for future use. These things need time. Because why? Because you don't want to be in the audition space and in process playing the intention of, what's my next line, right? You don't want to be questing about for what you're going to say or do next. You need to be alive in the moment so you can go back and forth with the energy of the room, whatever that happens to be. Okay? Yeah, so here's how I learned it. Any actor who is going to put him or herself into the audition context, at a bare minimum, you should always be walking around with 4 performable monologues. 2 classical, 2 contemporary, dramatic, comedic. That's your basic 4. Then you can start going out to the margins and coming up with the unexpected piece, right? The piece that may be age or gender inappropriate. The stuff that just, that resonates for you for some odd reason, doesn't matter. But you've got your basic 4. And then you can go further afield because in audition, you always, well, listen, within bounds of reason, you want to be the actor who can answer yes. So you show your auditors a piece, and they say, well, that's very nice. Do you have something that's more like blah, 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 blah? You want to be able to say yes. You know, if you have to answer not really, oops. So, be prepared. So getting back to my preferences as an auditor, I like people to come in with prepared material. Show me that piece, but guess what? I don't care how great your initial performance is, guess what's coming next? The adjustment. This is how I avoid that second classification of actor, the one that doesn't develop in rehearsal. Because you're going to come in, you're going to show me whatever you show me, and I'm going to say, that's great, thank you. Try it again, but this time, blah, 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 blah. I never know what I'm going to say, but it's going to be something that is completely different from what you came in with, because I have to see if you can think on your feet, A. And B, I have to see whether you and I have any kind of simpatico. Do you respond to my verbal cues? I have to know that if I give you something in rehearsal, you will manifest it for me. Yeah? You will show me something based on what I asked for. Whether I like it or not, that's hardly the point. We have to be able to have that kind of a dialogue. That reminds me of a story. Did I tell my King Lear story last time I was here? It's a long time ago. Did I ever tell you that story?
Tell it again.
Okay. All right. It's a good story. I mean, I'm at that age. I repeat myself. So here's what I mean about being able to translate prompts into sound and movement, which is really what actors are working with for the most part. I was in a production of King Lear in San Diego. Hal Holbrook played Lear in this production. He was a marvel. He was a force of nature. I was in the ensemble. I mean, basically, anytime a heavy prop came on stage, I was holding part of it, right? Now, there's a scene in that play where Edgar, who is the good son of Gloucester, he has to disguise himself because his brothers set him up. Edmund, the bastard, has set him up. And Edgar has to find a way to disguise himself, or else he's going to be taken and murdered, killed. So there's a scene where he transforms himself into poor Tom, the Bedlam beggar. We know this scene, right? I'll elf all my hair in knots, blah, 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 blah. And there's actually something in the scene which is really cool, which our director actually staged. He actually says that he's going to take a sprig, like a piece of a branch or something, and stick it through his skin, because that's one of the ways that the beggars impress upon the common people. Look how desperate I am. Please give me money. See, I'm actually wounding myself. Those of us who were in the ensemble were in this scene with poor Tom. Poor Tom was on top of this gigantic boulder that was in the middle of our set, and there was dry ice fog covering the stage floor, and we were all down in the fog. So, as the scene commenced, you would hear us down there moaning in agony. You couldn't see us. And then you would see like hands and arms coming up out of the fog. It was a pretty cool effect. And after one particular rehearsal, the director called us all together, the ensemble people. And he said, the soundscape that I'm getting from you all down in the fog is not quite right. It's not what I'm looking for. And I swear to you, this is verbatim. He said, what I need is and he was looking for the right words. He said, I'm looking for the orange cricket flash of pain. And I thought to myself, okay, my first thought was, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. And my second thought was, okay, if he wants the orange cricket flash of pain, I can do that. And by God, the next thing that I did was, to the best of my ability, the orange cricket flash of pain. He'll take it or leave it. Do you know what I mean? He can like it or not. But your job as an actor is to translate. You translate prompts into sound and movement. Okay? All right. Let me see if there's anything basic I want to say before we start working here. Are there any questions about anything I've said thus far? Feel free at any point. Here's one. When you are asked to do prepared material in audition, you're very often asked for two contrasting monologues, right? Have we been in this situation? Yeah? Okay. A very good teacher of mine once told me, your basic checklist for that kind of an audition, in the course of 2 contrasting monologues, you should be able to demonstrate that you can be strong, soft, funny, scary, and charming. And charming is your intro. And I'm going to ask you all to do an intro for your pieces this evening, okay? Strong, soft, funny, scary, and charming. Now, you're all only doing one piece, so you can probably accomplish 1, maybe 2 of those things in that piece, if you think about it. But as you're collecting audition material and you're putting things together, that's worth thinking about. Length of selections. Length of selections. Do not be afraid to edit. Again, this is a very particular kind of performance. Your auditors are not expecting you to tell them the story of the play. Okay? Particularly with Shakespeare, they probably know it, so don't feel obliged to, to do the entire Queen Mab speech. It's not necessary, right? You get in and get out. We want a coherent whole. We want a beginning, a middle, and an end, but you need not perform, right, the entire aria. Feel free to edit. Feel free to cut and paste. I told a couple of you this in our email correspondence, but I auditioned for years with a piece from Twelfth Night that I stitched together, the character of Antonio, who is Sebastian's buddy. I took bits and pieces from here and there, and I cut it all together in a way that worked for me. Thing came in at like 40 seconds. It's enough, yeah? If they tell you that, you've got 4 minutes to do 2 contrasting monologues, your goal is not to come in at 3:58, right? Because heaven forbid you should be the actor that they call time on when you're like a line and a half away from the climax of your second piece. Do not be that. Don't be that. I can only tell you, this is just strictly personal with me, but an actor that goes over, I cannot imagine a world in which I cast that actor. I don't care how brilliant you were for the first minute and 58 seconds. If at 2 minutes we got to call time on you and you're not done, you didn't follow the most basic instruction. So what assurance do I have that I can count on you to do what's necessary in rehearsal and performance, right? Okay. Be alive in the rehearsal room. We talked about that in the audition room. Be alive. Because I can tell you this, sometimes you will go in there and from the auditor's table, you will feel the Arctic chill. They'll give you nothing, right? You got to be ready for that. And the fact that they're laughing at every, joke that you put into your piece, that the only feedback that counts in audition is this feedback, right? Don't fall into the trap, the mental trap of thinking that the external response to your audition is the determining factor in whether you did a good audition. It's not. It's not. You may just not look like what they thought the character looked like. That's fine. That's their consideration. You need to be sure of how you did, whether you did what you were there to do. I went through a period of my life as an auditioning actor where I found it very difficult to be alive in the audition room. Anybody have this experience? You go in and you do the things, and you enter and you come to the thing and you introduce yourself and you perform your piece, and then I would walk out and I'd be standing in the hallway going, what just happened? I mean, I just literally went out of body for a couple of minutes, that's no good. That's no good. Thankfully, I passed through that, But do what you need to do to be alive in the audition space. It's fair to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Right? You can ask, like, what's your timeline for casting if that's important to you? I mean, and stuff like that's okay. right? They want you to have the information that you crave. You know, it's another good question you can ask. Is it okay if I play to you? Don't ever assume that it's okay to play to your auditor unless you ask. I'll tell you no. I will tell you no. I don't want to be in your scene. That's not why I'm here. Okay? And if you make me part of your scene, then you've deprived me of the opportunity to be a voyeur, which is what I want to be. I want to observe you in performance. I may need to look at your resume, which I'm going to feel weird about if you're like, talking to me. Yeah. So if you need to do that, ask. This is one of the reasons why I don't favor soliloquy as audition pieces. I don't like soliloquies as audition pieces because when you think about it, and nothing against soliloquies, they're beautiful in their context, but when you think about it, how do you play soliloquies? You've basically got two choices, right? One is I'm internal, I'm thinking stuff, I'm working something out between me, and the other one is I'm talking to y'all, which is, Iago. Richard III, that's a very important part of these plays. He's talking to the audience. He's saying, hey, I'm gonna do some evil shit. Watch me. And then he goes back into the play and does it. Yeah, but much better when you are selecting audition pieces, find pieces where you, the actor, the character, are working on another character. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see you having an agenda relative to that invisible other person that you will establish as being in the space with you, right? Okay, that's enough prefatory stuff. So, what I would like you to do, and I'm not hung up on any particular order, we can go in any order that you like. I would like you to actually, leave the space on one side or the other, and then on your time, come on in, introduce your piece, and play it. This is for you if you want it. If you don't want it, move it out of your way, right? Or if you can play downstage, but that's fine too. But when you go into an audition, you will always have something like this. There'll always be a chair or a block in the space if you want it. If you don't want it, move it. Okay. Who wants to lead off? I pause for an answer.